on who cares about the issue, I checked Gallup survey, trans issues at the very bottom. The reality is almost no one's trans. Almost no trans people are in competitive sports, and people do not care about the issue. However, there's a lot of money made grifting about trans this and trans that, even from people on this panel. So I get why they keep bringing it up.
The fact that somebody could acknowledge the humanity of trans people is not the same as the issue of gender reassignment surgeries for trans inmates. And if you ask the majority of Americans, because of this very well-funded right-wing disinformation campaign, where again, $250 million was put behind this thing, that is why the vast majority of Americans thought that she was.
Okay, look.
Over the last 8 years, the left has gone completely off the reservation when it comes to the topic of trans issues. And of course, this very idea is what helped propel Donald Trump into victory in 2024. Because your average everyday American isn't sitting around thinking that, oh, I'm going to affirm someone's identity who thinks they're a pony or a dog or a dragon even. And I definitely don't want my taxpayer dollars going to perform surgeries to illegal aliens in jail. Okay, so this is the madness that we are faced with according to the left. But now they want to sweep it all under the rug and pretend it never actually happened. And that's exactly what we're going to see on Piers Morgan Uncensored today. But before we get these clips, please like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
It's always some gay person that's talking on our behalf. So I'm really excited today to talk about how everyone here is wrong. Yeah, David, I love your show. I consider you a friend.
I can't be wrong.
You and the Democrats are completely wrong about what trans people need. We don't need you advocating for, trans vaginoplasties in prison. We need to retreat back to the basics of what we need, which is HRT and healthcare. And the problem is the Democrats have been captured by this fringe left that has redefined what trans means to all this non-binary nonsense and all this stuff that has nothing to do with how we got our rights in the first place. Ben, you can appreciate this. I was the first trans person to ever transition at Ole Miss, our alma mater. That was very, very different. It was 20 years ago, toddy. And the thing is, the way I got equality and got people to respect me in Mississippi was not by screaming at them or lecturing them about my pronouns. It was getting them to see my humanity. This is something trans people have just completely lost. And the problem is the Democratic Party is unwilling to call out these bad actors. And because of this, we are having a conversation that does not serve trans people. Piers, I am begging you on this show, stop inviting these stupidest leftists on to make the argument for trans civil rights. Let some people actually understand this stuff. And Dave is laughing because you understand integration as a gay man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done the same playbook your whole career.
Well,
this works. This is how
first
you
off,
got
I'm
gay
only
marriage.
gay. I'm only gay starting at 10 p.m. What time is it? We'll have to check on that. But actually, you're completely right. Brianna, you're completely right. What's happening with the left is that these saviors, these progressive warriors that you see in these boxes here, think that they know more about these people than they know about themselves.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And by the way, this has nothing to do with a well-funded evil money machine that the Republicans were doing. There's something called boys and girls. And
Rubin's the right guy to talk about that, isn't he?
Most parents, oh God, you're such a smug prick. Listen, most parents actually want to defend their daughters and don't want them to have the crap kicked out of them by boys, and they don't want them to be playing boys in soccer or any of these other things. That is a defense of girls. If someone, as an adult, 18, 21, we can discuss the age, wants to dress how they want, have any surgeries, take whatever drugs, do whatever they want with their body, most people, even Republicans, don't object to that. And I have no problem referring to Brianna as she, because I can clearly sense she would treat me with respect and I'll treat her with respect. And it's a two-way street rather than pandering and bowing to a bunch of people that could not give a crap about anybody else.
So what Dave Rubin is saying there is something that is shared across wide swaths of the right. We don't care what consenting adults do. What we do care about, of course, is the influence you may try to put on our children. We don't want any of this crazy ideology in our schools. If you want to put on a dress and prance around and call yourself a girl, I don't particularly care. But this is where I kind of break with Dave Rubin and a lot of the more progressive right-leaning people out there is, I would actually go ahead and use use your pronouns if I ever met you in person? And I would say, probably not, because to me, reality is important. Now, if some guy walked up to me and said, hi, my name is Anna, I would call him Anna most likely because I don't know what your name actually is. But as far as referring to this person as an opposite gender, that is where I draw the line. And of course, I would offer respect to any individual out there that approached me in conversation. However, there is one thing that's rather interesting. The left has lumped everything together, right? If you believe in trans rights, then that means you have to go ahead and affirm everybody's identities. And of course, we have people out there identifying as stars and toasters, okay? And it's clearly not all on the same level playing field. And pronouns is the dumbest thing we've ever heard. They, them for a singular person? Holy crap, it's the breakdown of the English language. And this craziness is what drove people away from the left, particularly the Hispanics, right? Remember when they tried to hijack the entire language with Latinx? But that's, of course, what we're facing in regular, everyday America. If you don't come out and say, yes, I agree with every single aspect that is being talked about in this supposed trans movement, then you are obviously the worst person in the world and must be canceled. But thankfully, the conversation has moved beyond that now because, yes, it's about so much more than just paying for surgeries for illegal aliens in prison. It's also about, of course, protecting our girls in sports. It's about protecting our women in locker rooms. It's about protecting our children from a crazy mind virus.
Yeah, and David,
thank you,
hang on. Let me bring in
yeah.
David Pakman again, because you were very quick when I asked how you felt about being so wrong about this to accuse me of being misleading, disinformation, misconstruing a United Nations report. So because we're a very nimble team here, while you were talking, they just went and double checked because I was curious what you were talking about. And we found, hang on, we found the United Nations report. And it's not a footnote, as you said, it's page 5 of the report. It says, and I quote, the United Nations says nearly 900 biological females have fallen short of the podium because they were beaten out by trans athletes. The findings were compiled by the UN's Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, entitled Violence Against Women and Girls in Sport. The report said more than 600 athletes didn't medal in more than 400 competitions in 29 different sports, totaling over 890 medals. The replacement of the female sports category with a mixed sex category has resulted in an increasing number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals, when competing against males, the report said. So, David, again, would you like to now apologise for being not only wrong about this being an election issue, but being wrong about your correction when I asked you if you were sorry for being wrong?
Look at the underlying source, Piers. I have it printed out.
You said it was a
in the
footnote.
other
It wasn't a
Look
footnote.
at the
It's page
underlying
5.
source.
It's page
Now,
5.
I do want to say one thing about this. I actually agree with a lot of what Brianna and what Dave Rubin said. I actually agree with I am not the savior here to do X, Y, or Z for trans people. What I'm saying is I don't actually think I even need to play that role. I don't think this is the issue that maybe you think I believe it to be. So I agree with a lot of what Dave Rubin and Brianna said there. I do think it's important to consider that when Dave Rubin talks about well-funded this or that, his Russian money source just dried up, and he's the last person who should be talking about funding sources. And to be honest, Dave, hold on a second. Hold on. Now Ben's jumping. Everybody's jumping. Hold on a second. I can't even hear. But why would Ben jump in? I'm not even addressing Ben.
Hang on.
That Brian and I
You made a very direct charge against Dave Rubin. Let Dave Rubin reply to that.
Because no one believes your BS anymore. Jesus Christ, these people are so
They've been
pathetic.
indicted, Rubin. The Tenet Media people were indicted.
I got indicted.
He was not indicted. And it said in the report, if you weren't a smug prick, to quote him earlier,
I didn't say Rubin was indicted. I just said the money dried up.
that Dave Rubin and the others involved did not know about it. And this is why people think you're kind of a jackass.
Yes, this is why everyone hates
You're putting
progressives.
words in my mouth.
This is the
Ben.
reason why
Piers.
you read the report. And by the way, Pakman, if
Yeah,
this happened to you, and in the
Ben's
report
coming
it
to
said you
his
were
defense.
unaware, if it said that you were unaware, I would defend you because I don't think you indict people for things.
I'm
when the federal
defending
government
Dave.
says in the
I'm
indictment,
defending Dave Rubin.
in the indictment,
I'm
that
defending
they
him.
had no knowledge of the money where it was coming from. So don't be a
I'm
jackass.
defending
Just
Dave
be
on that
jackass.
note.
So this, of course, is what the left always does when they're losing an argument. They have to bring up something else to take your mind away from it. So Dave Rubin, of course, being involved in this supposed Russian funding scheme through Tenet Media with Lauren Chan from a couple of months ago. Oh, it turns out, yeah, he was never actually indicted on any of that. And all the people brought up in that case had no idea where the money was coming from. They were approached by Lauren Chen, someone who they thought was a friend and creator on YouTube, etc. And she said, hey, I've got this funding mechanism. I've got this new thing coming out. Let's launch all these videos through the Tenet Media Corporation. And bam, you're going to get a whole bunch of money. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? All right, they should have done their due diligence maybe, but who would have known it would have been a front for a Russian organization if, in fact, all of this turns out to actually be true. But of course, when you've lost the argument, you're going to shift, which is exactly what David Pakman does there, right? He knows that no one supports the wild, crazy gender ideology that he has been flouting on his channel for years. And now, of course, it's come back to bite him in the face and having an actual trans person say, hey, we don't want any of this. We just want to be accepted in society. And of course, what does Pakman do? Oh, I actually agree with what you're saying and what Dave Rubin's saying, even though he's a Russian plant.
Pakman,
You're being a
you
tool,
are,
man.
you
That's
are
great.
no
Can we
real
talk about
Pakman,
trans
which I'm
people?
quite good
Can we
at.
get back to
You know,
this about
there's
this
a
left
reason,
versus right
Piers, there's a reason that everyone, there's a reason that everyone hates progressives. And the reason that everyone hates
This one they
progressives,
lost.
it's not just that they're wrong about all of the issues and they will lie and their only real goal is power. It's because they're also smug elitists. And Pakman, I did see online the other day, you were crying because your audience is purging you and you're running out of subscribers and you're
Let's
in a
talk about
doom loop
that.
because, and the reason is no one gives, Piers, pardon me, a shit about this woke bullshit anymore. We've had it, and now you guys can sit back and be quiet. You want to talk about people being paid for their ideas?
Just let me address this.
It's you people who have had the entire cultural machine for 20 years. You've had all of entertainment. You have had all of Hollywood. You have had all of music. You've had all your P. Diddy parties and Epstein and everything else. And now
And don't
enough
forget
of
all the
us
money
have
they just
had
played
it.
to
So
Beyonce.
crawl back into your
Hold on a
little
second.
irrelevant cave. It's time, bro.
Can I address any of that, Piers? Is that
Sure.
allowed?
Sure.
Okay. It is absolutely true that in the 48 hours after the election, a lot of very upset leftists started pulling back from political content. I was hit by it.
No, not from
Brian was
political
hit by
content,
it.
from your
Hold on a
political
sec. I
content
have to
because
be
you
able
were
to talk
lying
about
to
it,
them
though.
about
I
everything.
have to be able to talk. I have to be able to get a word in. Unless you just want Dave Rubin to talk. Let me know, Piers.
I love hearing Dave
I would
Rubin
prefer
talk.
that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Piers.
No, if there's no rebuttal allowed, then I won't rebut.
You've probably done most
After
of the
four-
talking so far, so why don't you do a bit more talking?
I'll say this and then I'll be quiet the rest of the show.
Because Brian hasn't said anything for ages. I want to bring him in.
The
So-
theme, I want Brian to win. That completely reversed. I do think that it must be that Dave is upset that Brian and I have surpassed him in viewership and subscribers. Because if you just look at the numbers,
What are
it
you
lasted
talking about? My
48
channel had
hours.
100
Can we
They
get
all
back to the
came
real
back.
issues
I don't
here,
even know
Piers?
who this other guy
Well,
is. I've never
look, if
seen
it's
him
going to
before.
come to that, I'm the biggest rocket
Yeah.
in the room, right? I mean,
You
it's
see,
like
but
as
this
Trump,
is the-
as Trump said to Kim Jong-un, you got your little rocket, I got my big rocket. So let's not get into the size of each other's YouTube rocket.
But that
Dave Rubin hits the nail on the head here. People are done with these progressive elitists out here trying to tell us that, oh, your life is actually really good under Joe Biden, right? The economy's great. The border is secure. Everything's going better in the world than it has been forever. Thank goodness the adults are back in charge. When all of us actually live in reality and see exactly what the progressive bubble brings us. It brings us people who are out of touch with what's actually happening and people who don't care about your average everyday American. But David Pakman, oh yeah, I lost a whole bunch of subscribers, but now they're back, I swear. Let me go ahead and get out my ruler so we can measure some stuff. And Piers Morgan, of course, has to put the kibosh on all this. Yeah, this is my show and I've actually got the biggest audience. So thoroughly enjoyable. I love watching the left get smacked down, particularly on this issue because it was such a loser for Democrats in the last election cycle. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.